Welcome everyone to the course on Python. This is a very basic course, and before I go to the details about the course, let me introduce myself. I am Amit Kumar Das, and I am a senior research scientist in the data science lab of A.K. Chaudhary School of IT, which is a part of University of Calcutta. So, if you want to reach me during the stretch of the course, or even after the stretch of the course, you can always reach me at the email address which is given below in this slide, amitkrdas@yahoo.com. Now, without much ado, let's start with the course. First of all, whom this course have been designed for? It's very important to understand. So this is a basic Python course, as I told you. Primarily, it is targeted for the undergrad students in all streams. It might be in the engineering discipline, or it might be in the science or commerce or even arts discipline. So what you can do is anybody who is studying the bachelor's in any stream, if he or she wants to understand how to do programming in Python, this is a course that he or she can refer to. Also, not only for the students, if working professionals, they are working probably in a different technology and now want to get shifted to something related to the current technologies. Say if they want to work in data science, they want to spend time in working in machine learning. So one of the challenges they generally face is to kind of get accustomed with the programming practices. So for them also, this can be a good starting point to first pick up Python and then pick up the fundamentals of machine learning. Have never done programming, or if they have done, I mean, never done Python programming, we are assuming that. And even if they have done Python programming, it is to a very small extent, a very basic extent. That is what we are assuming. And we are also targeting to cater to the population of students or working professionals who have minimum exposure or even no exposure to programming. So what we have tried here is to go in a very, very basic way, start from the very basic level and slowly kind of increase the level of difficulty so that it is easy for anyone to take the course and to understand by the end of the course to understand how to program in Python. They want the people who want to know Python, in many cases they want to go for further research or further professional work in the area of machine learning and deep learning. So for them, this is the first starting point, understanding how to program in Python. And even if you are not going to use Python for doing machine learning programming or deep learning programming, even for general purpose to build small and simple utilities, small and simple applications, you can use Python, right? So for them also, this is a good starting point to understand how to program in Python. Now this is all about the course, I mean, for whom it is designed for. Now, before I go into the details of the course, let me acknowledge the contributions of a few people and a few resources. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the contributions of Professor Amlan Chakraborty. He is my guide, and he has been my guide for the last 5 or 6 years during my tenure as a PhD research scholar. He is the professor and director of A.K. Chaudhary School of IT, University of Calcutta. So my respect and my acknowledgements for Professor Chakraborty. Second person whom I am indebted a lot is Dr. Saptarshi Goswami. He has also been a very active member of the CU Data Science Lab, and he is actually the person who started the Data Science Lab in a very small way, and then we are expanding as the days are moving on. He is currently associate professor in the computer science department in one of the science colleges, Bangladesh Morning College of University of Calcutta. He has also been a collaborator in my research works for the past few years. So my gratitude for Saptarshi. Other than that, let me also acknowledge the contributions that I have taken from the different books, the books which you may also refer to as you try to kind of complement the learnings of what is being there in the video lectures that I'm going to present in the next few weeks, right? So the first book is Think Python. It's a very, very standard book in Python, and you can get the good concepts of Python. It's a book by Alan B. Downey, and it's a very good book to keep in your library. So you can definitely go for this book. The second book, my personal preferred book, The Complete Reference of Python. It's a book by Martin C. Brown, and it's again a very, very comprehensive book, but at the same time extremely simple in its approach. So you can also refer to this book. Third book, which is a little, what should I say, a little too simple, but again, for the people who are new to programming, it might help a lot. It's a book by Rima Thareja on Python programming. Last but not the least, some of the concepts where I have introduced some basic things about machine learning or more about data manipulations. I have taken those concepts or borrowed those concepts from the book on machine learning, which has been co-authored by myself and published in Pearson, right? So published by Pearson Publishers. So that's another book. So these are the 4 books pretty much which I have referred to in the course of my lectures. There are other small references which probably I'm going to refer during when I'm going to talk about those particular topics, right? So this is all about the acknowledgements. Now let's come to the point. It may always raise a question in our mind that there are so many different languages. We have Java, we have C++, we have C. There are so many different languages. But why do we want to pick Python? Why do we want to learn Python? There are very strong few points in favor of that. The first and foremost point, again, this is not a very unique point, but definitely it's a very important point. Python is free. There is no user license to start using Python. This is one very important factor for the developer community whenever they start with a new programming language, whether it is free or whether there is a hefty license fee cost. So Python is free. Second, again, very critical point. Python is portable. What is meant by portable? It is meant that one, Python code works in different operating systems and platforms. It works in Windows, it works in Unix, it works in Mac, it works in a diverse set of platforms. Okay, and the best thing is whenever you have developed a code in a particular platform and you want to choose a different platform or you want to migrate to a different platform, very minimal code changes are required in the Python code. So this is a great benefit of Python being portable. Third, and it's a very important point for any developer, it's an extremely versatile and expressive language. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you can do a wide range of activities and you can implement a wide variety of functions using Python. And at the same time, you can implement a lot of complex ideas in a very simple way. So whereas you probably have to write, say, 30-40 lines of code in Java or in C or C++, probably 3-4 lines of Python code is sufficient to express that same concept. This is a big advantage of Python. Third, Obviously, as we many of us already know about it, it's extremely easy to learn. It is so easy that some of the high school students are also massively adopting Python as a programming language. So that's a very big benefit of Python. The learning curve is extremely flat. You don't need to, rather, it's extremely spiky. You can learn very, very fast, right? So this is another big advantage of Python. Fourth, it's an object-oriented. So all the concepts of object-oriented programming are being incorporated in Python, and we will be able to see that what are the different concepts being implemented and how they are implemented. And as a result of that, whatever benefits we can get from any object-oriented programming, it is also there in Python, right? So that's a big advantage. Fifth point, again, extremely important point, there is a huge bunch of pre-written packages and libraries, which are mostly contributed by the community developers. It's an open source community, right? So even you or me, we can write a new library, incorporate new functions, and contribute it to the community. So that way, what happens is the development effort gets reduced, and what you can do is you can actually pass on the benefit of something that you have created to the community. This is a big advantage. Sixth, it is widely used for solving problems in machine learning and deep learning. So as I told in the beginning itself, one of the biggest motivation of people to pick up Python is probably for a future path of getting into machine learning and deep learning programming. So extremely important is to choose a programming language which can suit machine learning and deep learning programming. So Python is a very, very well adopted and well, what should I say, mature language in terms of doing machine learning and deep learning programming, right? And last but not the least, very, very important point, there is a huge community, development community, which Python has got. And that's why whenever you get stuck up and you need help for troubleshooting, you have somebody in the community to help you out. Either there is already some blog or some written documentation on a similar problem that people have encountered and how they have solved it, or you can actually post a problem in the community and you can get a response from one of the experts or one of the practitioners in the community. This is a huge benefit that you can get, right? So that these are like the very, very critical points in favor of why you want to learn Python. But there is one more very much materialistic benefit, I should say, why you should learn Python. And that is, obviously, ultimately, many of the things we learn, it is more critical when it actually converts or helps in converting a job, right? So I'm just showing you a recent survey by Indeed.com. So Indeed.com is a job portal, as many of you may know. So according to them, Python is the fastest growing programming language for getting jobs. I mean, there are different skills which are in demand in the job market, and year to year these demands vary. But what has been consistently being seen, if you look at the data for the past 4 years, that the demand for Python in the job market has been consistently increasing. And at the moment, it has actually surpassed the popularity of Java in terms of demand in the job market. So if you learn Python, if you can do Python programming well, there is a lot of chance that you are going to boost your credibility or your chance to get a job in the market. This is extremely important. Now, once that is kind of established that we need to know or we need to learn Python, let me quickly cover what are the things that I'm going to speak through in these sessions. Right? I'm going to, deliver a bunch of lectures in Python. And what are the different things? First, I'm going to start with a basic introduction of Python, which we are going through right now. I'm going to continue it a little bit more. Then I'm going to talk about the different data types. Very important whenever you learn any programming language, what are the basic data types being supported by that programming language? So I'm going to cover the different data types of Python. Third, conditionals, iterators, and generators. These are the basic, what should I say, building blocks of a programming language. I mean, if you just try to understand it in a very simple way, these are the conditional loops, the conditional blocks, the loops, and all those things that we need to do a programming, right? Next is the functions. There are certain functions which are going to be provided out of box, that is by the software itself, and certain functions that you want to build on your own. So how to do that? That I will going to cover in a lecture. Modules, the concept of modules, how it has been implemented in Python. And why do we need modules? We want to divide the whole functionality of a particular software into very clearly segmented blocks, logical blocks. And each such logical block, we call it a module, right? So how to build the concept of module in Python, we are going to learn that. Next is the concept of object orientation, the class, how we implement class, how we implement inheritance, and all those stuff we are going to cover. Next, very important thing is Python libraries. And one of the major strengths in Python, or one of the major things you should pick up while learning Python is what are the libraries, what are the library functions which are being provided, how to use the library functions while you are doing your programming. So that I'm going to cover in quite a bit of details, right? Next, I'm going to introduce you to how to build very simple user interfaces using a very simple library in Python called tkinter, or some people also call it Kinter or Tinker. I mean, there are different names people use, but tkinter, right? Last, we are going to cover whenever there are exceptions or errors being thrown in any part of the program, how they are being handled or how they need to be handled in the code, so that there is a very, what should I say, smooth raising of the alerts by the exceptions, right? So exception handling and error trapping is something that we are also going to touch upon. So these are the major things we are going to touch upon in the different videos of the course. So I'm going to pause right now. Thank you so much for following the video till now. Stay tuned and we're going to come back with the next video soon. Thank you very much.